Okay, tell me what you filmed. Did you get me taking it out of the oven and the fire alarm going off? I mean, those are cute. Ah! Hello, homemakers. I'm Melinda, and I'm cooking my way through Betty Crocker's 1971 recipe card library. And today we're making orange baked Alaska. Today we're making orange baked Alaskas. This is from section A, seasonal favorites, winter, and it is card number 2. And what really excites me about this orange baked Alaska is that it's in a little orange, and I think that'll be fun and also difficult. Typically a baked Alaska is a dessert where you have a cake that's covered in ice cream, and then that whole thing is covered in meringue, and that meringue is torched so it gets kind of crispy brown. But instead, this is just slices of orange and ice cream and meringue, so it's a little bit different, a little bit lighter, more fresh, more fun. Why orange baked Alaska? Why is it in winter? I guess because Alaska, winter, snow, I don't know. I guess citrus is a winter fruit. Let's do it. All right, let's take a look at the ingredients in orange baked Alaskas. We need 1 pint of vanilla ice cream or orange, lemon, or lime sherbet. I went with orange sherbet because it's the OG and because it's really neon colored, and I think that's freaky. We need 3 large oranges. I got 4 because I know I'm gonna mess one up. I just know I'm gonna mess one up. You need 3 egg whites, a 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar, which I think is to help the peaks of the meringue get nice and stiff, and a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of sugar. The first step is to scoop ice cream into 6 balls, which I did last night just to get a head start to make sure that they're super, super frozen. So I'm just gonna give you guys a little sneak peek here of my 6 balls of sherbet. I had a bit of a math problem while prepping for this recipe because the photograph on the front very much looks like a whole orange, right? It looks like an entire orange has been scooped out and is filled with stuff. But the recipe says you need 3 oranges and 6 balls of sherbet, which leads me to believe that I should cut it exactly in half. But if I cut it in half, it won't look like the photo. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna follow the instructions and ignore the photo, and hopefully everything's gonna be fine. I have 6 balls. That's the end of the story. We have our 6 balls, and we're freezing them until very firm, at least 5 hours, according to Betty. I've had them in there overnight. They're back in the freezer now, just until we're ready. It says to cut the oranges in half crosswise. So yeah, I guess we want 6 halves that we're gonna fill with 6 balls. I guess that's what we're doing. I don't wanna mess it up. Okay, cut a thin slice from the bottom of each half. This is not the sharpest knife ever in existence. Cut around edges and membranes and remove fruit and membrane from the orange shells. So now I'm gonna try to cut around the edge and get a good scoop, kind of like grapefruit style. Because I think the goal is that you put the orange slices back at the bottom of the bowl that you're like, what kind of orange slice goes back in the bottom? How much of it? Why is it stuck? Okay, she's not perfect, but she's gone. I just don't know what part of this half of an orange goes back in. The whole thing as is? Am I supposed to pull it apart and put half slices back in the bottom? I'm not getting a lot of information from Betty. She's not telling me everything I need to know. Come on. So we have our 6 rounds. Beautiful. Empty. And very sticky. So I have my shells, and it says remove fruit and membrane from the orange shells, which I've done, and then it says line bottom of each shell with fruit. So it's like a little bit flatter. And that way we have at least a little bit of orange. There's like a 1/4 of an inch of orange that will like kind of hold the sherbet. So yeah, so I just shaved off a little bit of each one, and then I'm putting it back in. So we have a nice kind of resting pad for the sherbet inside. And I think hopefully the idea is when you like go in with your spoon to eat it, you get like some meringue, some sherbet, and you can break through and grab like a piece of orange as well in a bite. We'll find out when we get there. All right, so we are going to make the meringue. To do that, we gotta beat the egg whites and cream of tartar until foamy. So I'm gonna crack my eggs one at a time into their own little bowl and then put the egg white into the big bowl. So that way, if I get some yolk in there or whatever, we haven't contaminated anything. Okay. We're separating the eggs. You don't want any yolk in the white or it's not gonna get to stiff peaks. Oh. Remember what I said about not contaminating? Okay. 3 egg whites. Just the whites. 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar. This looks like some weird, like scientific shenanigans. I don't know what cream of tartar is. I don't know what it's about to do. And she goes, 1/4 teaspoon. And now we're gonna beat until foamy. The cream of tartar is kind of lumpy in there. I hope it breaks down. Oh, we've got foam. We've got foam pretty quickly. We are going to beat in sugar 1 tablespoon at a time until stiff and glossy. So I should probably measure out my sugar, shouldn't I? You need 1/4 cup of sugar plus 2 tablespoons. I don't have a 1/4 cup measuring cup, so I'm eyeballing 1/3 cup, and I think this is about 1/4. And I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons to that. Add sugar 1 tablespoon at a time. I'm not gonna measure that, I'm just gonna eyeball it. Continue beating until stiff and glossy. I mean, it's getting pretty thick pretty quickly. I think the cream of tartar really helps. So my understanding of meringue is that you want to get to a stiff peak, and a stiff peak is when if you pull the things out and the peak stays high, then it's a stiff peak. I think we're almost there. They kind of flopped over a little bit, but we're close. I think we're there. I'm gonna call this stiff peaks. Eject. Okay, so now we are going to assemble the orange baked Alaskas. We're gonna fill our little cups with sherbet, put the meringue on top, get it on here ready to go in the oven. Betty said, there's a little spoon here. This refreshing and glamorous dessert takes time, but it's worth it. Be sure the ice cream balls are frozen solid so they won't melt in the oven. See American Classics card 15 for other tips. And basically American Classics card 15 just says that you should keep the balls in the freezer and bring them out one at a time to make sure that they are tip-top frozen. So we're gonna do that. Coming in with sherbet ball 1. Putting it on my Alaska. Now I'm gonna start to meringue it. Betty tip, she says that you really have to make sure you get the meringue on the edge of the orange to seal it. And if you seal it, the ice cream won't melt inside. Oh no, this is messy and harder than I thought. Ugh. We gotta seal it. We gotta get a tight seal. Okay, here's number 2. Orange is level. Okay, I've examined that one and can confirm he's sealed. We only got 1 shot at this. Okay, I'm mostly worried about coverage and speediness and not so much about how it looks. The sherbet is flying around. Now, for those of you who are worried about salmonella like I am worried that this is like raw egg white that we're gonna be consuming, but I feel like because you're putting it in the oven for 3 to 5 minutes, it's cooking out any bad guys. And I was like, is this just like a 1970s thing? Like they weren't worried about salmonella back then? But I looked at like modern baked Alaska recipes and they all have you do the same thing. You don't pre-cook the egg whites. So this is my last sherbet ball. And it's also my most up sherbet ball. So I guess we'll just bake it. Let's go. Here they go. Good luck in there, buddies. Time for a little Betty history. Last week I told everyone about the origin of Betty Crocker, how she got her name, but she didn't really become who she was and how we know her today until she started writing letters. And it kind of started slow but quickly snowballed to the point where they were getting 4 to 5 million letters per week from housewives who were asking Betty Crocker for advice. And there was eventually at Golden Nettle Flower, there was a team of about 12 women who comprised the home services department, and they started to write to people as Betty Crocker, signing her name in the famous signature, helping these women figure out how not just to cook, but how to like keep a home and entertain and sew and take care of your kids. And Betty Crocker was able to help women who felt kind of lonely and felt like they couldn't go to people in their lives. They didn't want to, admit to their mom or sister or neighbor or friend that they didn't know what they were doing as a housewife, as a homemaker. And so Betty was an unbiased and non-judgmental person that they could turn to get like real honest advice for how to do things around the home. So eventually, in addition to sending multiple responses of letters out, the Betty Crocker team, aka the Golden Nettle Flower Home Services Department, started to go out and have events where they taught hundreds and hundreds of people. They would fill football stadiums full of people who would come and listen to them and teach them how to cook and how to keep a happy home. I mean, those are cute. Ah! Oh, one fell. One's falling. Oh my God, the reflection. We love. All right, here we are. We did it. It was a little panicky towards the end to get this out of the oven. They started to melt. One fell over. Fire alarm went off. It's fine. We're excited to taste it. Oh. I'm trying to get some meringue and ice cream. I don't know if I can get an orange slice in this bite. It's like eating a marshmallow with sherbet. Ugh. Okay, so it's nice to have the bite of orange as well because you need like that refreshing citrus taste because the sherbet is so sugary. There is like a good chunk of sherbet that's still frozen, but there's also a lot of goo. Not too bad. I do think that there could have been more detail into what to do with the orange slices at the end. Now that I've done it, if I were to do this again, I probably would try to make individual slices that you could scoop out rather than the whole chunk of orange. All right, orange baked Alaskas. What do we think? This was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. I was really nervous about scooping out the orange, but I figured it out, and it tasted really good. The sherbet was really sweet, but having the like really tangy, citrusy orange slice at the bottom kind of balanced that out with the like hint of toasted marshmallow. I thought it was really great. It's a little smaller of a dessert than I prefer, but I could see at the end of a long meal this little cup of orange being a nice small palate cleanser dessert. So yeah, if I had to give it a rating, I think I would give it 4 out of 5 red spoons. All right, back in the box. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, happy homemaking.